Mhm.
All right, so I'd like to
Okay.
welcome Miss Paula Dixon, the owner of Shiloh CNA School located in Las Vegas, Nevada. And this is a part of our growth series where we're learning
Mhm.
from school owners about their growth and the whole process of ownership. So thank you so much, Paula, for meeting with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's just start off at the top. What made you start a CNA school?
You know, um, in the past, I've been like a staff development nurse, and so I really took an interest in like teaching and especially the CNAs. So um, once I took that interest, I kind of was like, let me see how I can kind of further this education. And as far as working in the facility where I was or working on my own. So I set off, working in another facility, getting what I needed to get, the understanding of first what it consists of,
Yeah.
how the school operates, everything. And then I, went out on my own.
So you were
So
already working was it like a nursing home based CNA program you were running?
I actually worked in it was I don't know if it was a long-term care. It's pretty much like a rehab.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah. So I worked in a rehab as a staff development nurse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you've been running your CNA program for how long now?
For a year. Yay.
Okay. Made our year anniversary, which is
So,
awesome. And
yeah.
what would you say has been the biggest learning scenario since you've launched? Because, we kind of have this expectation of what it's going to be, and then we have the reality of what it ends up being. And so, what was your kind of reality, your expectation versus reality?
Mm. The expectation was it would come along kind of quickly and, grow really quickly. But throughout the whole time, I found that I had some challenges.
Mhm.
First of all, getting the school name out there, because you have to have, students coming in. So the first year, pretty much off and on, the student base was like maybe two, then six. Then we had a class of 11, then back down maybe to nine. And so it fluctuates a lot. And so it's just, like I said, getting the name out there. Um, and so that's something that I'm still challenging right now, but it's one of the biggest challenges. Another thing is, you have to have people that work with you. Knowing that it's a new school, you have to make sure that you have people who are dedicated to work with you. And last year, I started off with a young lady who was helping me. And then it became too stressful for her, so she quit. And now I have another young lady that's working with me, and we're progressing pretty well so far. But
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
What do you think would be the quote unquote stressful part of it all?
Um, I think right now, the stressful part for me is that I'm pretty much the instructor and um, the clinical instructor. So I'm doing all the teaching right now by myself. Um, but I do, like I said, I hired another young lady that's helping me as far as the clinical part of it, not the clinical, but the lab part of it.
Yeah.
So it's become a little more easier and not so, stressful as being a team of one. And then the paperwork, the process with CPE, that was another challenge. Oh my God, especially for Las Vegas. But we managed during the audit in December to get through it pretty well.
Okay. You're talking about the
So,
annual
the
audit where they
paperwork-
come through for your renewal, right?
well, not even the renewal. That was just the part to get my full term license.
Oh, that's right,
So
because you're
that,
in one of those states where you get the preliminary license before they give you
yeah.
the full approval. And for those watching, that has nothing to do with the CNA program. That's more of just her operating the private school or college or tech school,
Yeah.
whatever terminology you want to use.
So that was the part, trying to teach and then, get that stuff done for the licensing and all that. But yeah, that was pretty tough.
Now we'll come back to that, but I want to expound upon, I came to visit you last year to see how things were going.
That was a
And
nice.
you had a booming class when I was there. Like it was packed. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, like this is nice. And so you confided in me and was like, well, I was able to get a agreement with the local hospital system. You don't have to
Right.
name names, but I know that people watching, that's their dream. How do I connect with an organization that will literally feed me students who they're willing to pay for? So can you talk to us a little bit about how you were able to bag that?
Oh wow, it was tough because during the time that I was waiting to open, I just kept going back to these hospitals, knocking on doors, trying to find out how do I get the contracts, who do I need to speak to, and sometimes they would give me the right information, sometimes the wrong information. It just depends. So I have a hospital right now. It's connected with 6 different hospitals, which is pretty nice. But we started off, we went to the hospital every single day, every single day. And sometimes I would have to just sit and wait till they were done, trying to figure out who I needed to speak to or whatever. We finally found out the lady that I needed to speak to, sent her all the information. She
How
sent
long
us
would you
back the con.
say before you found out who that person was?
Oh my God. Let me see. See, it took us probably about 6 months.
Mm,
It took us probably 6 months. That was just the hospital in general. And the only reason I say hospital is because um, as a nurse, a lot of our students, they want to become nurses.
mm,
And so a lot of them, a lot of times we think CNA should be in the long-term care facilities only. But here in Nevada, they were only in the long-term care facilities only. And I kind of like opened the door for them to go into the hospitals, which
mm.
I take pride in. So we got the contracts, we opened up the door for them to go into the hospitals. And now the hospitals are not only allowing us to come in for clinicals, they're sending us people, and they are also they're also um, hiring the students. They actually hire the students. So majority of the students that I have come into my facility, to train for the CNA program, they we go through 2 days in the long-term care facility so that they can see that, and then
Hmm.
2 days in the hospital so that they can see that, and then they get to choose um, where they want to go as far as long-term or hospital. And the majority of them like the hospital. So
So the
that's
hospital setting does have its own nursing home. Is that what I'm hearing? Is
no,
that a separate contract?
it's two separate. So and
Okay.
with our school, we have probably about one, two, we have 4 different contracts so far, 4 or 5.
Okay.
And so the
So
biggest, the hospital though, the
yeah, and
biggest.
let's go back to the hospital because 6 different, chains within the hospital system. Okay, so kind of walk me through this. So you said I kind of just sat up there every day for 6 months until somebody would talk to me. Where did you
Mhm.
even know where to go? What was your spill when you got there? What did that look like?
I didn't know where to go. So we went to human resources. That was
Okay.
ours. So we went to human resources and we asked them, who do we speak to in regards to coming into the hospital and getting a contract? Of course, they didn't know. A lot of people are like at the front desk, they don't know where to go. And so the girl, she gave me numbers and names of people. We went back, we called these people, couldn't get in touch with them or whatever. So I went back the next day and I asked her again, do you know who we can speak to in order to get a contract in the hospital?
Mm-hmm.
And um, I know they were kind of frustrated with me. So I went from that hospital to another hospital.
Yeah.
So we just kept going to the hospitals around the facility. And where I am located, there are about 3 different hospitals, 3 main hospitals. Matter of fact, there's one right across the street. I don't know if you noticed when you came
Mm-hmm.
to visit. We do have, and that is one of the ones that we have contracts with. So we just kept going back. I just wanted to keep going back. And finally, like I said, after about 6 months, we did get the right person. And then she gave me the name of the educator, the person over education.
Mm-hmm.
And we called it, and he was like, well, we're not interested. And the schools, they, now, not the school, but the hospital voted against having CNAs come to the, hospital. And I told him, I said, you know what? I have a contract in my hand that is signed that I can come in there. And he's like, no, I don't think so. They voted against it. You don't know what you're talking about. And then finally, I contacted the lady again, and I'm like, yeah, I contacted the educator that you told me to contact, and he's telling me that I cannot come in the hospital. I don't know what happened after that. Next thing I know, um, he was no longer there, and they were calling me to come to our graduation. And of course, they came to the first graduation, and then that's what opened up the door for me to come in there.
Yeah, okay, so the
So,
first thing I want to say is this. You displayed what I call consistency. Okay.
mm,
And a lot of time
yeah.
people are fearful of being consistent for fear of how they'll be perceived or that they're getting on
Mhm.
people's nerves or, whatever that perception may be. How did you get past that to continue
Um,
to knock no matter what?
yeah. I'm kind of like a persistent person. I really don't care what people think. I mean, because the thing about it is being successful. How are you going to be successful without doing this? You got to knock down some walls. You cannot. I mean, I have a fear too. I go in there fearful too. But my thing is, I want to be successful in this business. So no matter how fearful I am, I cannot let that control me getting what I want. So,
Mm, I
yeah.
like that. I like that. And so, to everyone out there who's saying, Victoria, I can't get a clinical contract. No one will let me come. I called once and they didn't call me back or whatever. This is an example of consistency. So now with this consistency, how many students would you say, just in general, since you've got that contract, have they actually sent for with the hospital system? How many students would you say they've actually sent you since?
I don't know. I would say not very many of them come from just the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
but going into the system, I'm seeing more. So right now, I have a few that have come from dietary, or I have people asking me from housekeeping. So I'm seeing more come from the hospital setting. Yeah.
So the word's kind of getting around within the organization.
The
Ah, nice, nice. And are they paying for them to do the education?
I don't have, they're not really paying for it, but there are ways around it. So we don't really have them coming from the hospital and they're paying for that, but they go through other systems to get
Assistance.
part. Yeah.
Yeah, which opens up a new conversation. With those organizations that pay, that help students pay.
Mhm.
How did you get in contact with them, or are they just the students getting in contact with them and then coming to you? Do you have any partnerships that you've cultivated over time?
I do. We work with Goodwill. Goodwill I mean, they provide a lot of students, to us. And it's a company called Nevada Hope. That's who we started off with, and they're part of Goodwill.
Okay.
So then now we work with Goodwill, exclusively with Goodwill. And then we work with Nevada NV, Employee NV, I'm sorry, Employee NV, workforce development, whatever you want to call it. And we work with One Stop and who else? Job Connect. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take Goodwill, for instance. How did you
Mhm.
make that connection with Goodwill?
They actually, when I was I worked for another school. So when I was working with them, we actually built a connection then. And so I knew who to contact and what to do as far as Goodwill was concerned.
Got you.
Good. Yeah. Goodwill, they don't only do CNA programs, they do a lot
Right.
of other programs. They are a big supporter of our program.
Yeah, for those
Mhm.
who don't know, Goodwill has their own career services division where they help people get into different jobs, and they even host like different workshops right there at Goodwill as well that are more of the soft skills aspect of things. So
Mhm.
like I think they do like resume writing and job interview skills and stuff like that, so you can pair that with what it is that you have to offer.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, nice, nice, nice. So what is next? What are some of your goals for this year coming up? What are your thoughts on how to grow and expand?
Oh, wow. So I've been really, really, really wanting to do the LPN program.
Mm.
Of course, I'm reaching out to you.
Now, what
But
makes you want to do the LPN program?
I don't know. I mean, when I started this program, I actually did want to do the LPN program. I wasn't sure, like here in the state of Nevada, how many programs they actually have. But I did find out it's not very many.
Mm-hmm.
So, opportunity to go forward. And plus, I've had students ask me, if you do this program, I want to come back to your school.
Yeah.
So, you know, which is kind of nice. So I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I tell people when you have multiple programs, it's like an automatic reoccurring revenue model, in all honesty, because a lot of students are already comfortable with you. They know who you are. They've built that rapport and relationship, and they're willing to come back to you for something different to further
Right,
their education or to help them upskill, you know? So
right.
having multiple offerings is helpful for that. So yeah, I would love to help you with that.
Really.
We've done one LPN program out in Virginia with one of our prior clients
Okay.
that had us help them start a CNA and a phlebotomy school. So when we helped them implement an LPN program, they've just graduated their second class of LPN
Wow. That's
and
awesome.
they're doing great. So that was our first time taking on that type of endeavor, and it was a learning experience. I'm just thankful that people trust us to even though we may not know that yet, but we know the business of the approval process, and so knowing the right questions to ask and what to do helped us push that through. So I'd love to. We could talk more about that offline.
I was really impressed. I was really, really impressed when I decided to work with you guys. I was really impressed because from start to finish, it didn't take very long at all. And you guys did an awesome job. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I would recommend your services to anybody. I would definitely recommend you guys. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a pleasure to work with you on the project, getting your school, your CNA school up and running. And I thank you for speaking nothing but great words of what we do and giving us reviews. Thank you so much for that. Because I look at it like this, what we're doing and what you're doing, we're working in tandem, and it's beyond both of us, right? Like
Mhm.
what we're doing out here in the community is beyond both of us, and it's helping people weigh. I can't even explain or put my hands on it, but just the fact that I get to be a small part of an extension of what you're doing all the way out in Vegas serves my soul something serious. So thank you for trusting us to help you with the process, and you're approved and you've been operating, and here you
Yes,
are going on year 2.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
And everyone's going to want to know and they're going to ask. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you, do you work full time anywhere, part time anywhere, or are you giving the business your all?
I am actually giving the business my all right now. I am. I mean, some days I know, I mean, I probably could work somewhere, but it takes a lot. Right now, it's just taking a lot right now to build up this business. And so right now I am focusing on making sure that it's successful. Yeah. So
You know,
100%.
you said something that I think is very important that for some reason some people don't get and don't understand. You know, when I tell people when they call and say, "Hey, we want to get a school started," and I say, "Okay, well, it's going to be about a 6 to 12 month process." 6 to 12 months? Why it takes so long? And all we doing is this. It's not one of those. All we're doing is businesses.
No,
It's
it's
not.
not. Nope.
And
Not at all.
I'm wondering, can you help convey, like when people are wondering, why does it take so much to operate this? All you're doing is just teaching CNAs. What could possibly be taking so much? Maybe you can better describe and explain for me.
Yeah, you're not only teaching, I mean, you're doing a curriculum, you're teaching, but oh God, it's so much that's involved with this. It's so much. And I didn't realize it myself until I got involved. But even like down to the payments and just dealing with people on an everyday basis, you're really, ugh, you're doing a lot. Who are doing a lot because you have to be very careful. Your paperwork, everything
Yeah.
has to be the board of nursing. You're being monitored by the board of nursing and someone else, and so all your paperwork has to be in order. As far as the students, sometimes I'm telling you, sometimes these students they create their own. They feel like they can create their own days that they can come to school or whatever. So you're dealing with a lot of I don't know how to put it, but yeah, it's personalities and attitudes and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, then you have to contain yourself and be professional. you know,
Yeah, yeah. I think to your point, it's like managing a whole bunch of people and what they have
yeah,
going on.
and just your daily work in general. You know what I'm saying? Daily, because me myself, I mean, I have the school or whatever, but in order to maintain that school, I am the instructor. I am the janitor. I am the one that does everything in that school. So it takes a lot out of me because you have to really, and then as far as people who want to start the school too, I know they look at their finances or whatever, and this is something that you have to look at every day. How many students am I going to need to be able to month to month or whatever, So in order to do this, it takes a lot. That's for one of the reasons why I don't work because I want to make sure that I'm focused, like I said, to be successful.
At what point when you got into this business endeavor did you decide I can't work full time?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. I worked until um I'll say maybe 4 months before the doors open.
4 months
I
before the doors
worked
opened? So you let go
until
before you even launched. Okay. And what made you decide then to do that?
I had
You had what?
yeah, I just opening the doors. I wanted to make sure everybody's coming in to evaluate the school. You got the board of nursing, you got to have everything ready for them. So that was another thing. I wanted to make sure everything was ready for the board. Before we even open, I don't know what testing company works with everyone, but Credentia is the one that works with us. So before I know the board approved us, but then before CPE approved us,
Yeah.
Credentia approved us. So I had to get everything ready for our school to be a testing center. So we actually allow people to come in and test there.
Nice.
So that was another big deal. So I wanted to make sure everything was prepared before opening the door to the students, curriculum, everything. So yeah. So
So
four
then
months before, there was no just
got you.
focusing.
So then the next question people are probably going to want to know is, how did you make that transition? Like, did you have a nice amount of money just already stacked up in the bank? Did you do this in a whole, I know it's going to work out? Like, what did that look like?
Not really. You know what I did? To be honest with you, I was actually going through a divorce at that time.
Mm.
So of course, you have issues. And nobody knew. So I
Yeah.
went through and I sold my house. And so
Mm.
I had for the home, that's what I invested in. I just invested in to make sure that we were successful. Yeah. So
Got
I
you.
And I'm going to tell you too, another thing that was hard was finding a facility. So that was another thing. So I couldn't work and go out and try and find facilities or whatever because I was driving around all over the place trying to find the area that I wanted, trying to find someone that would open the door and give me opportunity to actually rent the space. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
don't business already, people, how do they trust you? You know, and I found that to be a major thing too. Because I
Mm.
went facility to facility asking for office space, and it was really hard to get. And so I found I had one place. It was so nice, and the guy kept asking me for a certain license. I'm like, I'm not doing anything invasive. I don't think I need those licenses. He had a lawyer call me, all kinds of stuff, and then I actually lost that place because he didn't know what he was talking about. So I went right next door, and then the guy was like, you know, well, you have to have months of rent. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That takes all the money that I have. There's no
How many
absolute
months
way.
did he want?
I wanted 8 months. I was like, that's crazy. So and then I talked to him, and I was like, you know, I have money, but it's just I'm not paying you 8 months of money.
Right.
So he took about maybe a month and a half to decide whether he would let me have that space that I have now. And then I finally just told him, I said, either you're going to let me have it or not, because I'm still looking in the board of
Yeah.
nursing. And he finally said yes. So, you know, I knew that the board of I had everything done with you guys. I knew the board of nursing was coming. Um, and I started just ordering stuff and have it delivered to my home.
Mm-hmm.
So I had stuff in my living room, I had it in my dining room, I had it in my garage, I had stuff everywhere. But I was trusting that I would have a building to put all this stuff in. And
Yeah.
finally, for that, it happened. Yeah. So the guy, like I said, now he's pretty cool. He's patient with me. You know, I haven't missed a day of, you know, rent or anything, trusting in the process. Yeah.
Did you have any like zoning or fire inspection issues throughout that process or
I didn't have the zoning, but fire, they came out to check. And the only thing that they found was the building itself had old fire extinguishers. So we had to
Mhm.
have, other than that, it was good.
Okay, good. But I mean, you know, what was meant for you was meant for you when it was time for you to have it, you know. But I do find it interesting that like the stories I hear about getting a place, like sometimes they're like, some people are like, oh yeah, sign here
Mhm.
and they're done, you know, and other people are like, well, what are you doing? And where's your license to do it? And we're gonna pull your personal credit and you know,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
so
They
it
do that.
really just depends on the landlord, you know, and how they're feeling and how they do business.
Mhm. Yeah. I think they get my credit. They have everywhere I went, of course, they pull credit, especially if you're not a business owner already. So you have
Uh-huh.
to, the trust issue, you know, it's the trust.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good point. The last place I went, they didn't pull my credit or didn't do anything, but I was able to prove and show like the secret cocktail and what I've done with the secret cocktail. And with that alone, they were allowed me to sign a lease for the other business. But to your point, it just depends on the landlord, you know, and what they want to see. So
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, any words of advice for people out there who are watching this and maybe they're trying to get that courage to start their own program or they're fearful or they just got their approval and they don't really know what to expect. Any words of advice?
Oh wow. My advice is just trust the process, trust in yourself, you know, believe in yourself that you can really do this. Believe me, I, I know I had a lot of fear of doing this. And at the time that I was going through all of this, like I said, I don't know if it was the right time or not because I was going through a divorce. Nobody actually ever knew that I
Yeah.
was, but I trusted myself. You know, I always wanted to have my own business, be my own boss, do my own thing, not really knowing what it consists of. Even today, it's a learning experience. I mean, I learn something every single day, but my thing is never give up. And then I have the support system at my job that really supports me and tells me, even on my hardest days, feel like giving up, don't give up. I'm not going to let you give up, which is a good thing. She
Yeah.
supports you and backs you up. But um, believe me, it's a learning experience every day. So the license are not the only thing that you need. I mean, it's a learning experience every day, how to put it all together, whatever. But anybody that's motivated can do this. And I just encourage them to, if this is your dream, start. You have to start somewhere. Just start. Yeah.
Yep. That's it. You're right. Just start. Quit thinking about it and just start, you know.
You,
Because
yeah,
if not, you'll just hold yourself back.
you will. You
Yeah.
will. Yeah.
How long before the thought to actually doing it? How long did that phase last?
You know what? I'm kind of I'm kind of like a person, when I think of something, I just do it. So working, let's see, from the time I contacted you guys, like that was, I had a plan. I had a
Mhm.
plan and had a goal set. And so um, once I contacted you guys, we reached that goal and beyond.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, it was probably what, 6 months? I don't know,
Yeah.
6 months. So, because I read everything about Secret Cocktail, and I was like, "It's 6 months? Let me see. This is kind of like unbelievable," but it happened, and
Yeah.
I'm so it happened, and it kind of like shocked me too. Like, man, was I really ready?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, it's slow, it's slow, it's slow, it's slow. And then suddenly it's like, oh, the state answered. And now everything's hurry up and yeah. And it's like, whoa.
So that ride was kind of amazing. That was an amazing ride. It's emotional, but it's amazing to know that, gosh, this is really happening. This is really
Yeah.
happening. Yeah. So anybody that is thinking about it, oh my God, believe me, it paid off. It paid off. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's actually a good thing to way to look at it. Like, sometimes when we think about starting a business and our investment in that business, one of the biggest questions people always have, of course, your time and effort paid off, right? But then another question is kind of like, well, when will I get my money back from this endeavor? What does that look like? And so, would you say that you're already in a place where you've gotten all the money back you've invested? Would you say that you're in a place where you're getting ready to break even and come out of that?
No, I'm not at that point yet, but I do know, just working this, just keep on pushing. I know that I'm going to get there.
Mhm.
First of all, like I said, people have to know that you're there. They have to know that you're out there. So I've been going, not only hospitals, I go to schools, I go to fairs, job fairs. I go anywhere that I can go. I've sent my son to places. I send anybody that says, "Oh, let me help you." Okay, we're going to start here, just so that we can get recognized and so that it can bring in the income. But I haven't gotten there yet, but I know it won't be long. So once people know that we are out there, that we are open, and that we are in business to help them achieve what they want to as a CNA, I know that we'll be making over and above. Yeah.
Yeah, and that actually I thought of something when you were talking and I was like, "Ooh, I wonder if she can do like different ad campaigns inside of the hospital." Because
Um, as far as the hospital, I've been reaching out to them too, because they do have, like, different hospitals, they have different things. So we're trying to make sure that we're compliant with everything. Um,
but you know what I mean?
so I,
Like if the hospital has already agreed to do clinical contract with you, and as you
Mhm.
see, the more your name is getting out within the hospital system, people are coming to you, would they allow you to have like a banner up or have like little posters that you can put on all the floors at the hospital inside the break rooms or something,
Yeah,
that can continue that the word of who you are and what you're offering.
mhm. I believe they would. I don't think they'll have a problem with it. I know that they've had opportunities where they do like job fairs or whatever, and they told us we
Mhm.
could set up a table when they're doing that.
Yeah.
So be involved. We can be there the same time that they're doing their fairs. So,
Yeah, a nice
so
little flyer, like a call to action flyer to go up in all the break rooms. I think that would be good.
That's a good idea, and thank you. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today and, share your things you've been through and kind of your vision and how things have worked for you so far. I really, really appreciate it. And I know people watching are going to really appreciate it too. It gives people courage and gives
Mhm.
people the ability to see that they can do it too.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh, they
thank
do.
you.
All right.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you and